Do you ever wish your day wasn't dictated by your health? Are you tired of being tired all the time, or is pain holding you back from enjoying your time with your family? Would you like to manage your symptoms holistically, but you just don't know where to begin? I am so excited you're here. This podcast will help you understand how natural remedies work so you can relieve your symptoms and live a fuller life. My name is Penny. I'm an occupational therapist, past pharmaceutical rep, mom, and wife with a strong faith. And for 25 years, I battled through debilitating Crohn's disease. I took all the medicine and did all the surgeries that stole so much of my time with my family, but never truly healed me. I finally realized if I was going to survive this disease, I needed to open my stubborn eyes to alternative solutions. I researched how perfectly our bodies work with plants and a lifestyle that made my health less of a burden to my family and aligned so beautifully with my faith and my medical training. If you're ready to reclaim your life with holistic options that are easy to implement as a busy mom and provide relief that lasts, this is the podcast for you.
Hello. Episode 9. This is Penny. Welcome to Becoming Natural. I am your host, and we are talking today about the amazing ways that silver benefits a healthy body, a clean house, and even happy pets. We love happy pets, so we love our puppies. So today we're going to talk about an amazing and perhaps lesser known powerhouse of a product that is my go-to, that has a wide range of uses that even I learned something about in my research for this, but it's colloidal silver. You may have heard about it before, but today we're going to dig into what colloidal silver really is, how it's used, and why people are turning to it for a variety of purposes, and how to use it safely. There is not a day that goes by that I don't find myself telling someone about this little miracle remedy. And I discovered it years ago. I feel like I almost need to make a handout to carry with me in my purse to give to my friends and even to my patients, because I tell so many people to use silver all the time on their wounds for sinus infections, skincare, so much more. I should actually buy stock in the company, truly. But silver serves a multitude of purposes and is now a staple in my household. Even my children love it. I was introduced to silver when my wonderful home health nurse used it on my unhealing wound after I was septic. I feel like I need to give that period of my life a name. I'm always saying after I was septic, but for just time of clarity, when I had my stomach removed, when I was septic, when I was healed, basically 2.5 months that were completely pivotal in my life, that in my mind felt like they took forever, but they were full of highs and lows, and I learned so much, and for that I am grateful. So this is during that time. So as I've mentioned many times, I had a planned surgery to remove most of my stomach, and that resulted in sepsis, although it wasn't immediate. I was sent home from the hospital stay with home health for wound care, because even when I was in the hospital, my incision was already leaking before I left the hospital, which was really my first red flag. I was exhausted, and we should have stayed and demanded more answers because I had a low-grade fever and I had an elevated white blood count, and they still discharged me. So it was the beginning of an incredible relationship with my amazing home health nurse, Melanie. I hope someday she will hear this, but she was a beautiful 6-foot blonde nurse who came into our life. She came to the U.S., as she told me. We learned a lot about each other when she's working on my stomach for hours in a day, but she came to the U.S. with her family from Germany when she was a little girl, and she had zero accent. In fact, when she told us this, we were shocked because she said she had speech therapy to remove her accent when she was young. But when prodded, I had to really twist her arm. She could switch on her German and go to town like it was still her first language. It was amazing to listen to her talk. And she was so smart and so talented and so good at what she did. But she became a nurse through the Army and really found a knack for wound care while serving there. We know she was heaven sent simply because my future surgeon said that if it weren't for Melanie, I would not have ever made it to him, because he says she is the one who saved my life. So we are indebted to Melanie for so many reasons. We also know how good she was because for the days that she actually took a day off, she rarely did. I think she was a hard worker, but I think she took very special care of me, but no one managed my wound as well as she did. I could tell that they were not as comfortable, which, by the way, wound care takes a special person. They were not as comfortable managing wound care and cleaning out wounds. And she came absolutely every time that she could. Even on the weekends, she would come, and she had this big old Texas-sized truck. We'd leave the front door unlocked for her because she liked to come early in the morning. And I said, I didn't care. Just come on in and wake me up. So she became like family to us and certainly got right up in my business, cleaning my wound every day of the week and more, and sometimes twice, praying for me, sharing so many amazing healing stories of her patients. And she always felt like she was led to her patients for a reason. And I so desperately wanted to be one of those miracles that she spoke of. And to be clear, at this point, I was not one of those patients. I wanted to be that miracle. I was septic. I didn't even know it yet. But she was initially cleaning my wound once a day. And as I worsened, she came twice a day until she said, basically it was time to go to the doctor. But when someone is cleaning an open wound on your stomach and you're right up in it, you can't help but to see with a front row view what she's cleaning. And as much as I tried to look away and not look into the depths of my abdominal cavity, it was tough to avoid for how long it took and the pain that it caused. And she would stick all these Q-tips down in there. It was not fun. So she caused pain out of love because she was trying to definitely take care of my wound. But my wound was from my sternum to my pubic bone, very long. And instead of healing like it was supposed to, it was getting worse. I was not on the path to healing or being her miracle patient that I wanted to be. And I figured that out pretty quick. I watched her face every time she removed my packing, and she knew it. And being medically minded, I was kind of paying attention to what she was doing and what she said. She tried very hard to keep a poker face, but it became very clear when she was very concerned for me. And it was from this bed that I lived, and that my sweet Mona, who is part of my story, she never left my side, my dog. My friends and family crawled in bed with me in this bed at this time. We watched movies. My meds kept me up all night, crazy hours. So I binged watch years, I'm not kidding, years of Blue Bloods, and I still didn't get through all of them. I just think of Blue Bloods and I think of that time. But oh, how John and I prayed and prayed and prayed here for me. And this is the bed that I knew that I was in trouble. I was in bed for weeks and not getting better. And I knew that in my previous surgeries, by 6 weeks, I was back at work. And I was, basically 4 to 5 weeks post-surgery, and I could barely move. So this is when I asked my mom, I remember the moment clearly, if my mom's listening, fast forward 30 seconds, but I asked her when I got the chance to heal, and I told her I knew that God could heal me, but when was he going to do it? And of course, we both cried, and we had no idea what was around the corner. It would get far worse, but then glory was coming. God had a surprise for us, and I could just hear him saying, now, didn't hear it then, but just wait and see. Just hang in there. I've got something for you. Just like in Job, like I talked about last week, Job 42:10 says, after Job had prayed for his friends, the Lord restored his prosperity and doubled his former possessions. And in verse 12, he says, so the Lord blessed Job's later days more than his first. And that's how I feel, that, my first days of life were hard and painful, and I feel amazing. And I feel that I've been completely blessed in the second half of my life to have total health and healing. So over the period of those weeks, when Melanie was taking care of me at home, my wound developed a tunnel behind it. And ultimately, a tunnel means that there's infection on the inside. And so my wound completely started to open up from the top, and it had eventually kind of started going all the way down. And it started as a little pinhole. And then that pinhole is what created all the commotion. That tiny little pinhole grew and grew and grew. And my initial surgeon was not responding to Melanie's calls for concern. So she sent me to a wound care doctor that was actually a blessing because she was in a hospital that was much closer to my home. And that doctor admitted me to the hospital when I walked in, she's like, "Who's your driver?" And I'm like, "I'm my driver," although I was completely packed and rolled and wrapped in bandages. And she couldn't believe that I walked in on 2 feet. She's like, your organs should be shutting down. So she admitted me basically on the spot. She told me if I promised to be back in 2 hours, she asked how far I lived, Houston traffic, to go pack a bag, get my husband, get someone to take my kids, and I had to be back in 2 hours. So that began the next 5 to 6 weeks is when I dug in for the big fight with a whole new team of doctors at a new hospital, many more surgeries to go to clean out the infection, repair the damage from that initial surgery. So after I made it through all of that scary time, I was discharged home once again, and we made sure that Melanie was my nurse. This recovery was so much better, and my wound healed like it was supposed to, with the tiny exception of this very little annoying spot around my new belly button. I got a new belly button that wouldn't completely heal. And in the way that it wasn't like it was open, it would just kind of ooze, and it was a clear fluid, just like a scab maybe oozes a clear fluid. I just always had a little spot of fluid on all of my shirts right on my belly button, and it was more of a nuisance than anything, but I also had a lot of anxiety about what could potentially this turn into. So I went back to my doctor 3 different times, 3 different rounds of antibiotics. So that was what, like 6 more weeks of antibiotics, and it still did not go away. So Melanie said, "This is what we're doing." She pulled out her own bottle of liquid silver. She poured it directly on my belly button area. We put a Band-Aid on it, and I applied it probably once or twice a day for a couple days. And after all those extra rounds of antibiotics, all the antibiotics I had had before that I hated taking, the silver did the trick. Like really fast, a couple days, I was completely healed, just like that. No more poking and prodding and digging in my stomach again. I was finally healed. The worst place in the world to be poked and prodded, by the way, is on your stomach. It's awful. So at that point, I had been through my yeast diet and I had used the essential oils. But outside of food substitutions, I wasn't pursuing anything new in my quest for homeopathic medicine like I do today. So pouring liquid silver on my wound made me just a little bit nervous, but I trusted Melanie with everything I had, and it worked like a charm. She educated me a little bit. She pointed out that most wound care products that are used in hospitals to pack wounds contain silver. You can even buy Band-Aids with silver in them, by the way. They're called colloidal Band-Aids. I will link my absolute favorite Band-Aids in the show notes. So I have used countless times for me, for my kids. Even worst case scenario is you just put silver on a cotton ball and Band-Aid it to a wound. It's absolutely amazing. She told me about all of the uses for silver. So with, at this point, a large amount of time on my hands, I just kind of started reading up and learning what silver did for us and why did it help us. Who had heard of silver before? I had not. So silver has actually been used like every other homeopathic option that I discuss for centuries, for thousands of years. And we are just now, really bringing it back and rediscovering it. It's amazing. It's really amazing how we let go of these natural treatments for our bodies because just in the last generation, we thought that maybe perhaps pharmaceuticals would take the place of these things. But it's amazing how many wonderful things we have that we are gratefully coming back around to. Long before the development of modern medicine, ancient civilizations across the world, countries that just went on and on and on, used silver as a means of preserving health and protecting against illness. And history shows that it was used to help prevent the growth of bacteria. So I've got some bulleted points here that I just thought were really cool that I'm just going to kind of go down. But Egyptians, they used silver vessels to store their water in, believing that it would keep the water pure. In Rome, silver coins were placed in their drinking water containers to keep them clean. Before the invention of refrigerators, silver coins were also used in milk to prevent algae and bacteria growth. The Phoenicians stored water, wine, and vinegar in silver bottles, preventing soiling. In the Middle Ages, wealthy Europeans ate from silver utensils and drank from silver goblets. Silverware was thought to ward off disease. That's why it was made in silver. And then it even played a role in healing wounds in early Western medicine. And this is actually where the phrase born with a silver spoon comes from about silverware. Isn't that amazing? There's the origination of that saying. In America's Old West, silver coins were dropped in drinking water barrels to protect against waterborne illness. And during the Civil War, silver was used to treat syphilis. In 1852, it was discovered that using fine silver wires for sutures helped heal the repaired flesh. So in the 1880s, they used silver nitrate. You know, when babies are born, they put this stuff in your eyes. I never knew what it was, but that's when they started putting silver nitrate in the eyes of newborn infants to prevent post-delivery infections. Physicians also used it to treat infections before antibiotics, pre-antibiotics. It was seen as a powerful tool to fight against illness long before we understood the ins and outs of bacteria and viruses from basically under a microscope. We just knew that it worked. Silver was used to treat infections on the battlefields in World War I. Silver-based sulfadiazine has been the standard of care in burn centers worldwide since 1968. Silver is used big time when it comes to burn treatment. It's amazing. So clearly, history tells us silver had some amazing uses that benefited our well-being. In the late 19th century, colloidal silver was developed, and colloidal silver is a suspension of microscopic silver particles in water. So medical practitioners used it to help prevent infection and all the variety of symptoms I mentioned above. And with the introduction of penicillin into the public realm in the 40s, well, I think penicillin was invented or discovered in maybe 1928, but it became a part of pharmaceutical world in the 40s. Colloidal silver kind of took a back seat for a while because penicillin was obviously an incredible invention to have an antibiotic. However, with our increasing knowledge now of what happens with the overuse of antibiotics or antibiotic-resistant organisms and a growing interest in natural health solutions, silver is now seeing a wonderful resurgence, especially in the form of colloidal silver hydrosol. So hydrosol is a pure and refined version of colloidal silver. It's very important, just like with anything I've ever said, that you have a high quality product, and there are certain things that you want to know about your silver before you use it. And the hydrosol is kind of the key element that makes sure that it is a high quality, pure, it's been refined, and I'm going to tell you why. So there's many different kinds of silver actually, but the most commonly seen terms you're going to see, I'm just going to throw a few out right now, but as I mentioned, bioactive silver hydrosol is called hydrosol to differentiate from other forms of colloidal silver because it is 99.99% pure silver, and then it has a form of pharmaceutical grade purified water. It's called USP23. I didn't know what that was, but that's just ultra pure water. You can't just use it with any water because we know that there's organisms in our water. It has the smallest size nanoparticles, which are called nanoclusters, and the highest charge ratio of any colloidal silver product. So this is what we're going to highlight today is the hydrosol. That's what we want to go for. But just so you know, the other kinds of silver that you will read about or see in different places, colloidal silver, that is just a generic term for any type of silver in suspended water, and it's marketed as a dietary supplement. So lots of people tell you that you can make homemade silver, and actually I looked into that, but it's very difficult to control the purity, the concentration, and the quality when it's homemade because we just don't have the equipment to know what that is, the quality and the just the management, making sure that it's a quality product is difficult. True colloidal silver, that's the word, true colloidal silver, that is simply a marketing term. And it's kind of like using the term organic when you go to the store. Anything can be called organic, but unless you see USDA organic, the seal of approval, organic is simply a marketing term. That is what something is when they say true colloidal silver. It's just a generic marketing term. It means nothing, and you probably should stay away from that simply because it does not mean it's a top quality product. There's ionic silver. This is what they used to put on newborns' eyes that I mentioned. There's silver protein, homeopathic silver, silver compounds. It's important for me to note that silver is a heavy metal, and I talk about heavy metals, but it is not considered a toxic heavy metal. But as with anything that has the potential to be toxic simply because it is a metal, it's important to only take the smallest amount necessary to get the desired effect. So while it's considered safe and effective, don't go out and drink bottles of silver. Less is more for sure. I just want to make sure that you know that it is a metal, but it's not one metal that is considered heavy metals or toxic, but certainly don't go out and OD on silver and drink it like water. But the four key points to consider when getting the safest, most effective product available is number one, you want to make sure that has a positive charge, and positive charged ions are more useful because they're more available. So look for a high ratio of positively charged silver, as close as possible to 100%. So when I said up there that hydrosol is 99.99%, that's a positive charge. Number two, you want to look for purity. Just like we talked about with essential oils, you want a COA, which is a certificate of authenticity for silver, and the USP water as well. GMP means good manufacturing processes. You want to make sure that your product has a GMP rating on it and that it's from that facility, because that means that it's done well, because that is regulated. And then you want it to be bottled in a dark amber glass water bottle. Just like anything I've ever talked about, that protects it from sun damage. Glass protects it from absorbing plastics, so you don't have microplastics. So that's how you maintain the purity. You want to have a COA. You want to make sure it's a good manufacturing process facility and it's stored in a dark amber glass bottle. Particle size, smaller. That's number three. This is better because it's easier to be converted in the body if it's smaller, and it provides more surface area to be absorbed. So if you have much smaller particles, nanoparticles, or nanoclusters, like I mentioned before, there's way more surface area that allows it to be absorbed more readily. And then finally, ppm means parts per million. Once again, less is more. If it is a safe product, 23 parts per million bioactive silver is kind of the max that you will need if it's a really good product. Higher concentrations are great, but they can lead to an increasing risk for toxicity. And there's no reason to take this huge concentration when less is more. So if a product meets all of those standards, then it's good. If it doesn't meet all four standards, positive charge, purity, particle size, and parts per million, go on to another product, because there's another product out there. And I'll make my recommendations as well. I just want you to know why I recommend what I recommend. So the clinical benefits that you see of hydrosol colloidal silver, as with anything I suggest on this podcast, I am not a doctor, and you should consult with your doctor or do your own research before using this product. In 1999, the U.S. FDA stated that there is no scientific evidence to support the use of colloidal silver. The FDA does support the use of nano-sized particles integrated into bandages and used for wound care protocols, and it is emphasized that it is for short-term use and small particle size is vital. Now, the things that I'm going to tell you below, have all my references, and I do have a lot of studies that support these things that I will attach in the show notes so that you can be directed to where the studies were done. So number one, it has antimicrobial properties. One of the most well-documented benefits of colloidal silver is that it is antimicrobial. Silver ions have the unique ability to destroy the cell walls of bacteria, fungi, and even some viruses, rendering them completely inactive. Studies show that silver particles can inhibit the growth of antibiotic-resistant bacteria, which is huge, and why silver-infused dressings are often used in hospitals. This is huge for hospitals because we often get the passing of antibiotic-resistant bacteria just because of how things move around in hospitals and germs come and go. So when used topically, colloidal silver hydrosol can help reduce the risk of infection in minor cuts, scrapes, and burns. You might even find it in some over-the-counter wound products that I can tell you about because it keeps the wounds clean without harsh chemicals. A study in 2018 from Frontiers in Microbiology showed that colloidal silver could inhibit the growth of drug-resistant bacteria like staph and E. coli. applied in environmental microbiology in 2013, found that silver particles could disrupt biofilms, which are communities of bacteria that are particularly resistant to antibiotics. So my personal example here is I had a dog bite my hand. It was a rescue dog, so I wasn't going to turn it in. And I had 3 puncture wounds, two of them healing just fine. One of them was getting pretty gnarly after a couple days, and it was very painful and red. And I did not want to turn the dog in. If you get a dog bite, you have to turn him in. So I was not going to go get help. So I took my silver, I put a cotton ball in the silver and just kind of drenched it. And then I wrapped my hand, and within, I don't know, 2 to 3 days, it was completely gone and never came back. So I love using silver to heal any sort of wound. That was a puncture wound, which probably had a lot of nastiness from the dog's mouth, and it healed up great. Number 2, you can use it for skin health and anti-inflammatory properties. So silver is known for its anti-inflammatory effects, like many of our homeopathic treatments. The hydrosol can be applied to the skin to reduce redness, swelling, discomfort. What I love about it is that it's gentle on the skin, and it doesn't have the side effects associated with something that you might use with a steroid-based treatment, because many steroids thin the skin. And whether it's the skin on your hands that is being used to apply the steroid that you have to worry about, oftentimes they'll tell you if you're using steroids to put gloves on, or the location that you're applying it, it thins your skin, and nobody wants that. And I'm not sure, I haven't studied, but I'm not sure if that is reversible. So there was a study from Nanomedicine. I'm gonna cite all these, but it shows that silver nanoparticles help to reduce the inflammation and wound treatment, leading to faster healing and reduced redness and swelling. Some people use colloidal silver for managing conditions like eczema, psoriasis, and acne. And while the research is still evolving, many users report that the hydrosol can soothe flare-ups, improve your skin clarity, and accelerate the healing of blemishes and scars. And I will say that I was looking for something for my children that were having breakouts, because I am paranoid, simply because I think a lot of my issues started when I was in high school and I was on a long-term low-dose antibiotic just for prophylactic use. I have not taken my children to dermatologists, and I read that you could use silver in a spray bottle. So I got a fine mist sprayer off of Amazon for $1, and I filled it with silver, and my son used it to spray his skin each morning, and it totally cleared his skin up. It's amazing because it has those antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory effects. And I have boys, and they don't want to do a million steps. So you literally washed his face in the shower and sprayed silver on his face, and it was great. It was amazing. Also, there's a potential for immune support. I say more than potential, but wellness enthusiasts such as myself claim that taking colloidal silver internally can support the immune system. So people debate this online, but believers think that silver hydrosol can act as a second immune system because it neutralizes germs before they even have a chance to reproduce. So I have to note that not everybody agrees on its internal use, and it should be used under medical supervision. There are reports of people using colloidal silver during cold and flu season as a part of their wellness routine, and I completely believe this. I don't use it daily. There are people that take it and use it daily. And let me tell you, when you buy silver, it comes in a dropper and it's clear and it has no taste. It's like putting water in your mouth. I am a very picky eater, and I would not do something that tastes bad. There is no taste to it. So some people just during cold and flu season put a dropper under their tongue, let it sit for a minute to absorb into their bloodstream, and they do it as a preventative wellness. I don't do that, but if I feel something's coming on, if I start feeling sinusy, I typically get head congestion. I don't get the runny nose or the cough, but oh my goodness, like the sinus headaches kill me. Silver is my go-to to prevent secondary infections as well. So we put silver from the dropper. We do lots of sinus rinses at our house. We have asthma and allergy kiddos, and so when they're doing their sinus rinse, I just put a dropper of silver in there, and that way that silver gets up all in those tiny little bones in your nose, and it kills any sort of infection that might be up there. And then the brand of product that I use, you can either buy a big bottle and buy empty sinus spray bottles, or you can buy it in a sinus spray bottle. I keep a sinus spray bottle of silver next to my bed, and I'm currently using it because there's a nasty respiratory virus that's going around that everybody has that is making them cough. And my kids and my husband have it, and I saw it coming. So I start using that sinus spray every day. And I may be nasally, but I have not had any of the cough or congestion type symptoms that they have. And I think just simply by doing my nasal spray, it's preventing anything going on my nose. But I also think because it's going just into my body, it's killing whatever bugs are going around. So another study in 2009 suggests that silver nanoparticles can potentially inhibit viral replication, especially in respiratory illnesses. Finally, the greatest of them all is pet care. Silver works for pets just like it does for us. It can be used for cuts, which I have done for my dog who climbs fences, to reduce itching, even to sanitize their bedding. But many people add a few drops to their pet's water to support their immune health. So I use it most on my dog's ears because they get allergies and they start shaking their head. And I didn't know this until the last couple years, but I have a coon dog, and if she shakes her head too much, all the blood goes into her ears. And if the blood goes into her ears too much, it occludes her ear hole. And then they have to have a procedure to open that up. So when I hear her shaking her ears, instead of going to the vet and getting antibiotics, I drop silver directly into her ear holes. And I do that for a couple days. And then after that, when she stops shaking her head so much, I just put a dropper over her food. So I also do that. I have a standard poodle. They're known to have infections in their ears. So we put the same thing in his ears to prevent infections or to treat infections. And then I put it over their food. So always consult a veterinarian if you're considering giving colloidal silver to a pet. But you can get it in any sort of form, like a gel if they have a wound that makes it easier to stay on their bodies. I've had friends use it for that. It's amazing. It really is amazing. And number one, you avoid vet bills. Number two, you avoid, to me, the hassle of trying to give your dog a pill is a nightmare for me. It just all around an amazing fix. So the other great thing about silver is that you can use it in your home. There are companies that are built on this principle. So the hydrosol has fantastic uses around the house, particularly as a non-toxic cleaning agent. So in household disinfection, because it has antimicrobial properties, silver hydrosol is a really effective natural cleaner. You can add it to a spray bottle with water to clean your countertops. You can put it on your cutting boards or any surface where, there's lurking bacteria. It's especially useful in kitchens and bathrooms where you want something potent and something strong, yet keep it safe around your food or family members or pets. I really don't like the idea of using a strong cleaner on my countertops because I know that food is going there, and are we going to be eating that chemical? So silver is safe to ingest, and so I really love using silver as a cleaner for my kitchen countertops and my bathroom cleaners, and it's really, really effective. It kills the bacteria, kills the all the nasty stuff. So using it as a cleaning agent is really, really helpful. Also, what I like is that there's no harsh smells. I think that because the cleaner I become, it seems that I'm more sensitive to those nasty smells of the harsh cleaning agents. And so there's no awful smell that goes along with it. It doesn't hurt when you inhale it. And I find that my husband loves his bleach, and I'm really getting good. I think I've almost broken him of that habit, but I used to walk in the house and I could smell it from across the house and instantly get a headache. He smells bleach and thinks it smells wonderful and clean. And I have that same feeling about tea tree oil. So that's a whole nother podcast to come, but it's way better using silver than using something really harsh and that really inhaling it is really hurtful to your sinuses and to your body. So Environmental Science and Technology in 2013 says that silver-based cleaning agents were found to effectively eliminate various pathogens from household surfaces. It also does a great job of preserving freshness on your vegetables for food. So by adding a tiny amount of silver hydrosol to a water spray, you can use it to mist your fresh produce, which can help prevent the growth of bacteria, keep your fruits and vegetables longer. Up above, we talked about how it helped prevent E. coli, which I know is always a concern with vegetables. And I know a lot of people do this with vinegar for the same purpose. So silver works as well, and maybe do a little vinegar, water, and silver. But food chemistry study in 2011 found that silver nanoparticles reduce bacterial growth on fresh produce, helping them stay fresh longer. This is a game changer for me because I have not been able to find anything that I can swap out for my room spray that kills bacteria. So I've been spraying all sorts of random things that are not really meant to be sprayed. But odor control. Silver can neutralize odors. So by killing that bacteria that causes unpleasant smells, the hydrosol can be used as a natural deodorizer. So you can spray it in your shoes, those nasty gym bags that we opened that our kids haven't opened since last season, or your trash can. It can keep them fresh. And because it's non-toxic, it's safe for pets, which makes it a great option for pet smells as well. You can put it on the pet beds. You can put it on pet rugs. You can put it on your comforter. Like wherever you think that you have a pet smell, you can use silver spray, and it takes away the nasty odors, but then it's also safe for anybody that touches it. And that is from the Journal of Nanomaterials that reported that silver particles could reduce bacterial growth in textiles. Isn't that amazing? Totally new to me. I can't wait to get started on that one. So how to use colloidal silver safely and effectively. There are several ways to apply silver. Number one, there's a topical application. One of the safest and most common ways to use silver is topically. You can use it in wound care, as we mentioned. You just put a little bit of silver on a clean cotton pad, either dab it on cuts and scrapes. I like to put it on a cotton ball and then bandage it, so I feel like it's pressing it into the wound and it stays there. I feel like it heals faster. But studies show that silver can reduce inflammation, making it suitable for conditions like mild rashes, insect bites, anything that's inflammatory on your skin. Also, skin conditions like acne, eczema, psoriasis. Some people just apply a small amount to the affected area, maybe with a fine mist sprayer, or you can apply it with a cotton ball to help reduce the redness and the bacterial growth. Oral use. So it's essential to exercise caution and consult with a healthcare professional, but lots of people take it orally. They just put it under their tongue, and it comes in a dropper, and a lot of people just take it during flu season, typically small amount for a short period of time, no longer than 7 to 10 days at a time. It is very important, very, very important that if you're going to ingest this, if you're going to put it inside your body, that you use a very high quality and low concentration product. A lot of people also use it for sore throats. You can get the spray and spray your sore throat because it takes away that inflammation, or you can gargle with it in diluted water for throat discomfort or oral infections, because silver's antibacterial properties can help reduce infection-causing bacteria in your mouth as well. Another way to use colloidal silver, as I mentioned before, as a nasal spray. They're available to use they come in a nasal spray pump as it is, or you can buy an empty nasal spray, that you can fill with whatever you want, and you can put the silver in there. I use it all the time. Ironically, everybody in my family is sick. I use it on my sinuses. I'm not sick. I have multiple things that I do to prevent getting illness when I hear everybody start to cough and hack, but I think this is one of the major players in keeping me healthy. Also, respiratory health. Inhaling a fine mist from a nebulizer with colloidal silver is sometimes used for respiratory issues. This is also amazing, and I've been helping a friend actually currently that has bronchitis, and I had forgotten that we used this in our nebulizer for our kids when they were young, but you just put a little bit of silver. It says 1 teaspoon 3 to 5 times per day in a nebulizer, and you let those silver particles breathe in and be absorbed into your lungs. It's amazing. And to me, I have an asthmatic kid, so nebulizers are, when they're sick, are our preferred method of treatment, just because you can use it for a longer time, 5 to 10 minutes. You feel like you can fully breathe deep and get the medicine down into your lungs. So the silver, if you breathe it in, can get down into those little infected alveoli and get rid of the infection. It's amazing. Oral care. So it's really good for taking care of your oral hygiene. You can use it as a mouth rinse. Some dilute it and swish it just like a mouthwash. It'll help manage things like gum disease, although it's important not to swallow that solution. So just swish for about 30 seconds and it will help clean your mouth, reduce the odor, and prevent bacterial buildup. I will add to this that since I took 1 million antibiotics since I was septic, that time, I have had issues with bleeding gums, been round and round with my doctors about this. I don't have any sort of buildup on my teeth. They've done antibiotics on my gums. They've injected them into my gut, like all the things, and I still have bleeding gums. So I bought a toothpaste that has silver in it, which I highly recommend. I will put in the show notes. I absolutely love my silver toothpaste. And they say that it also whitens your teeth. So I love using it as a toothpaste. Finally, internal supplementation. And that's just putting it in drops of water. When you ingest it, some people put it under their tongue. Just like I said before, use it on a short-term basis for seasonal immunity. If you use it topically, maybe you can double up by taking it internally as well so you can heal from the inside out. So final recap on silver. Number one, remember we're speaking here to hydrosol form of colloidal silver. There is a historical significance. It has been valued as a health-preserving tool for thousands of years, used by ancient civilizations to prevent infection and maintain wellness. There are many, many health benefits to it. Colloidal silver hydrosol offers antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory properties that can support skin health, immune support, and wound healing. There are household uses. As a gentle and effective cleaner, colloidal silver hydrosol can help disinfect surfaces, preserve food freshness, and control odors, and it's all natural and it's not harmful. Number 4, safety and quality. If you're considering using a colloidal silver hydrosol, it is an absolute must to prioritize purity, quality, and responsible use. Please, please, please. So make sure you pay attention to, number 1, your dosage and usage. Start slowly, especially if you're new to it. It is like water. Just like I said, there is no taste. So it's not going to be difficult, but just start in small amounts because you only want to use what's absolutely necessary to use. And you don't have to use much when you have a high quality product. There is something called argyria. And this is what people talk about. I saw this on the news like 15 years ago that a guy turned blue because he took too much silver. But really, that is such a low chance of happening, but that typically will happen, getting that bluish tint in the skin, if you use a poor product, if you use too high of a concentration, if you don't follow those 4 tips of the P's that I explained in the beginning about getting a very quality product with a certificate of analysis and making sure that it's a good quality product, you risk this argyria. But I have taken silver. I haven't turned blue yet. No Smurf signs here, but that is a risk. Check your quality. Make sure you're getting it from a reputable source. The concentration and purity matter. Look for brands that offer high quality, nano-sized silver particles in pure water without additives or stabilizers. Hydrosol formulas with smaller particle sizes offer better absorption and efficacy. And I will link all of that, all the silver products that I love in the show notes for you, including my toothpaste. I'll have to have a podcast all about toothpaste too. There's more to that too. But finally, responsible use. Remember that silver is not a substitute for antibiotics when you truly need them. While colloidal silver has many promising uses, it's essential to use it responsibly and consider it part of your larger holistic approach to wellness rather than a cure-all. As I always say, there is no need to drastically throw out everything in your cabinet at once, but as you learn more holistic products that you want to use, slowly incorporate them into your life until you used it enough that it becomes a good habit. Like now, silver is my go-to, and I buy the enormous bottle of silver, which you probably don't want to start out with because you're not convinced or sold yet. But I use that enormous bottle of silver and I mix up cleaning agents. Everybody has their own sinus the little sinus bottle. The different boys have the spray bottles for their face, and then each bathroom has a cleaning agent, and the kitchen has a cleaning agent. I use silver for everything, and then I have it in our first aid kit so that we can find it fast if we need it for a wound. So I buy the large bottle and I just refill all the little bottles, but you can start out with a little bit, and when you're a lover of it all, then you can go buy the big bottle. But I'm so excited to have shared literally one of my favorite go-to wellness products with you. While I have not personally done a study on myself, it is only by report, but when I was septic and I had 10 IV antibiotics at one time, when I finally showed improvement, they didn't know which one was working. So, of course, I asked if they could remove one of them, and they're like, absolutely not. We have no idea which one's working. We're headed in the right direction. So I had to continue on those 10 IV antibiotics. And just those alone, I have so many issues that I am still learning to recover from, which is why I'm always detoxing. I'm always taking probiotics. I'm always looking at something new because just like the bleeding gums, I still work on my bleeding gums. And my latest thing is that I've been using silver on my gums. It's absolutely amazing. So I have had so many antibiotics over my lifetime, and I didn't know better then. So I just feel like when you know better, you do better. But since then, because I have chosen to use silver, I have not had an antibiotic since, and that has been almost 9 years. But I also believe that prevention is as great or better than treatment. So there are so many things that add up to this that I'm not necessarily replacing the need for antibiotics all the time, but I am preventing getting to the point that I actually need to go to the doctor to get one. So that is silver. I hope you have a wonderful day. Be sure to check the show notes for all of the references and resources, and then I will link up all the products that I love the most, and you can find them in there. So have a great week. Talk to you soon.
If you enjoyed today's episode, would you take 30 seconds to leave a review and share it with a friend? It helps me help someone else, and reviews are the best way to do that. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll meet you back here for another episode next week.